Lisa, where are you? There you are. You want to call attendance and we'll see who's here?
Absolutely. Joe,
Here.
John,
You mean Schultz?
Schultz.
Schultz. Schultz, you're here. Greg,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep. Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Justin,
Here.
Jen.
No Jen yet.
No Jen. I'm here. Mike Sinatra.
Not here yet.
Joining us tonight. No.
He's not joining.
I don't
Okay.
think he'll be here tonight.
Julie,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
and Mary.
Here.
Okay.
All right. So we start the meeting with 10 members present.
I'm here.
Jen just showed up.
Oh, Jen's here. 11.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. All right. I'll ask if there is any public comment on matters on the agenda this evening. I would be happy to entertain public comment. If you wish to speak, just wave your hand or something. Or if you're not pictured, say something. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There are the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of February 1, 2021. If anyone would like to take those from the consent agenda to have us consider them, please so request. Otherwise, those minutes will be deemed adopted. Megan, update on COVID-19.
All right. Well, I'm beginning the evening with some very good news. I don't know if anybody has heard the governor's update from this afternoon, but they are now transitioning to giving the vaccinations to school staff. So there is a commitment that during the month of March, they are doing a push for our school staff to be vaccinated. We have been working with our Department of Health. We are ready with all of the information. So once we have the conversation, we'll be able to figure out if we're going to be able to run some clinics that will be local, or if it's something in which we're entering the teachers into the VAM system, which is the vaccine administration system. So I will tell you, for us, it is incredibly important that we avail the opportunity to all of our staff. It is one where we want to make certain we're doing our part. We know the importance of herd immunity and what's happening. So Region 12 will pull out all of the stops to make certain we can keep our staff healthy. So I am going to share the screen because I do just want to show our updates very quickly. And this is our trend is going in a much better direction than what we have seen at our last board meetings.
Megan, could I just interrupt you for 1 second? What's that I see in the upper right-hand corner of your presentation materials?
This is our brand new logos.
Julie, I think you and your committee deserve a amazing amount of creativity and hard work because it really looks terrific.
So I'm going to say kudos to the long range planning committee and, Julie Stewart, amazing job leading us and getting us here. And Greg, I think when you said to me, when you see it, it makes you feel peaceful, I think is a wonderful statement. There is something just really inviting and warm about our new logo. So
I'd like to publicly say that I think I was wrong about the circle. I've seen it a few places and I think you guys were right. And I'm admitting that this is much better.
Justin, me too.
I appreciate, and good pointing that out because you will see it on so many of our presentations coming up because we are proud and we want to make certain we are branding ourselves. But with that said, let's talk a little bit about COVID and our updates. Again, if we look at the information we have, again, this slide is in totality, what we have seen this entire school year. And so we have seen, again, no positive staff cases at Booth Free. You can see as you travel this across, none at Washington. When you look at our student cases, those remain relatively low when you're looking in comparison with towns around us. Again, it is the efforts that are taken in our community that are helping us keep these rates low. And I do have to say, I think our decision to put Chippewa on remote those weeks ago actually really did help us a great deal, given the fact that we know we did see some ramifications from that event. But overall, we are seeing the trend to flatten, and I'm very proud of that. So I just wanted to share just very quickly what is working in Region 12, because I think when we look around, we can take stock in some of these energies that we've put it into our schools. Social distancing is key. We think about the fact that we have been able to get 6 feet between our desks. We make certain that it is controlled. We are organizing the masses so that way they are distanced from one another. As you will talk to any DPH or CDC, masks are the #1 mitigation strategy that they feel work. And I can tell you all of those fears that we had early on that children wouldn't keep on their masks. I will tell you, our students do. There is a feeling that being in school is a gift, and they really do honor those protocols. We continue to have the cleaning protocols, and a big thank you to our custodians and maintenance crew who are making certain that that happens. But it's not just them, it's also the students and staff who are taking those extra precautions to wipe down. We have restricted the visitors, and I want to thank our board for everything that they've done in order to make certain that education takes priority. And so visitors are secondary to keeping our kids in school.
So what you're saying, Megan, is you want to thank us for staying away.
I do. I do. Yes. I also think one of the big things that have also helped is that we've been able to stay open because our staff is covering for one another. In absences, we are pulling people in order to make certain that classrooms are covered. And I think that as everybody is pitching in and helping one another, it's allowing us to keep those doors open. I also want to thank our community because the communication, we have families who tell us when they're just symptoms that are happening. They tell us when their cousin's mother's brother have COVID, and things that help us stay one step ahead. And that really is the case where when we have the information, we can plan differently. So the early notifications of COVID positivity, we take action when we presume that there's COVID around. And so being able to put children on remote until we know with certainty that it is truly COVID, and then switching that over to a quarantine, has been able to help get everything out of the school and making certain that we have safe conditions and clearing the edges. I think also our families and our staff's cooperation and flexibility. I will tell you, our families, when we say we have to send somebody remote or something happens, you don't get pushback. They understand the value of the community and community health. And so knowing that we're not using our energies to fight the battle, but rather making certain that we're able to put all of those energies into the safety measures only helps us that much more. We are operating lean, meaning that we have kept money in reserve to make certain that we know in the event some of these additional COVID expenses start to rear up, we are making certain that we are being resourceful, that we are keeping, our budget in control for the moment that if it turns, we want to make certain that our people are covered because our people matter the most. And I cannot say enough the town support that we've been given. I tell everybody our grass is green here in Region 12, and it has everything to do with our community and our kids, and really you and the efforts that you've taken. So this COVID update was more of a celebration, and to say that we're watching the directions go and it's no longer spiking. We are very cautious. We know that there are the new strands that are in Connecticut, so it is cautiously optimistic. But I think getting these vaccinations is another step in the right direction for Region 12. Are there any questions I can answer about COVID and the update?
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is for Kathy Colella and her team. It's diversity and tolerance lessons at the elementary level. Looking forward to this, Kathy.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, I hope. All right, before I begin, I just want to thank the board as well as Superintendent Bennett. Everything that she just said is absolutely true. It's amazing how we have been able to stay in school And it's amazing that our community and our families are so behind us, because every time there is someone who is worried about COVID, takes precautions, and that has protected us 100%. So thank you, board, and thank you, Megan. I think that has kept us really going. So tonight, Megan had asked if we could share a little bit about diversity and embracing differences, the things that we have been doing at Booth and Burnham in building unity. And I wanted to identify my library clerks for their hard work, because they're the ones that have put a lot of this together. It's Patricia Gordon, who will speak, and Stephanie Turney. And I don't know if Stephanie's here quite yet, but she hopefully will be able to show up. If not, Trish and I can certainly move forward. So hopefully you can enjoy what's going to go on. Oops, how come it's not going? Here we go. So this year our focus has been on a prevailing theme of unity. We have emphasis on acceptance, kindness, inclusion, and community. So we began the year, in addition to some of the things that we typically do, we added some new things which have really been really helpful. We did the celebration of Unity Day in October. And in October, the call to action was to wear and share the color of orange. So you can see a couple of pictures of kids wearing orange as a visible representation of the supportive universal message that our society wants to prevent bullying and is united for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And the color orange really is commonly identified with the month of October and the season. So we really wanted to teach our students about supporting others who have been hurt or harmed. We want to remind our students, and we continue to do that, to treat others with kindness and to be more accepting of people's differences and help include those who are left out. So one of the things I wanted to share with you, which I really love, was this beautiful mural that Burnham created. It was symbolic of unity. The title, Unity We Stand. In other words, united we stand, and everyone created a feather, staff and students, when we put it together and created the eagle, and everyone signed it meaning a commitment. Not only did we do that, but our schools did another initiative called Every Step You Take. Students cut footprints, they traced their footprints, they traced their shoes, and they wrote messages on footprints stating what steps they were going to do to promote unity in our school as well as our community. So we continued our journey. It's a world journey, a nurturing and awareness of cultures. And we did that throughout the month of December. So we explored in both schools 11 countries during the month of December, such as, I'm being blocked by pictures, hold on. Israel, Italy, Mexico, England, India, Germany, and Australia, and a few other countries. So students received a paper passport, a paper travel ticket, and a paper suitcase. And they learned about each country and its cultures through text, videos, making crafts, singing songs, and playing traditional games. And then we did a whole Zoom presentation through Zoom to share student learning. So boys and girls got to share with each other the kinds of things that they learned in each grade level. I just wanted to share a few pictures of some of the things that they did. They were particularly fond of their stained glass window, if you can take a look at that. Then I'm going to turn it over to Trish. Are you there?
I am here.
All right. Is Stephanie there with you or not?
I have yet to see her.
All right. Well, you're on.
Okay, good news is I have all of her notes, so I might be
There you go. That's a good thing.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about honoring Dr. Martin Luther King. The week prior to Dr. King's birthday, in class, students read books about Martin Luther King, like Martin's Big Words. And with their teachers, they discussed Dr. King's legacy and the power of his words, specifically his I Had a Dream speech. Then we had come up with an activity where we asked students to create their own I Have a Dream clouds. So they could put those together, writing their dreams on separate little dreams, and then we'd put them together per class mobile that would say 4th grade dreams with all the individual dreams. And we wanted the students to take those, and then they got a chance to present their wide variety of dreams to the entire school. Some of the dreams were really cute, like, I have a dream that my parents will get me a puppy, to a lot deeper ones. There was one that said, I have a dream that the world will stop being violent. And then one that I think we can all relate to, which was, I have a dream that COVID will go away and people can stop wearing masks. If that's a testament to how much the kids are actually wearing their masks, but they're ready to give it up. And finally, one of my favorites, which was submitted by a 3rd grader, which was, I have a dream that one day people will be treated fairly and equally. So we ended, so after we had made all of those, we presented those as a school-wide Zoom assembly, and we ended that assembly by listening to a powerful reading of Kwame Alexander's book called The Undefeated. The Undefeated is a beautifully illustrated poem and a triumphant look at Black endurance that praises the history of Black America. And to quote the book's introduction, it's to the grit, passion, and perseverance of our greatest artists, athletes, and activists, to the dreamers, to the strength and bravery of everyday people caught in the web of history.
You should just walk away.
The Undefeated is not only a testament to Martin Luther King's legacy, but to the legacy of the entirety.
I'm sorry, can I excuse you for one? Could people please mute themselves? If you're not presenting, please mute. There's a background noise coming in that's interfering. Thank you, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. The Undefeated is not only a testament to Martin Luther King's legacy, but to the legacy of the entirety of the African-American community. And it was just the best way to remember the legacy of Dr. King and set the stage for February, where we could turn our attention to the immeasurable impact of Black history during Black History Month. I don't know if Stephanie's here yet.
All right, I'm going to go to the next slide.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There's the next slide.
Go ahead.
Are those the pictures?
Yeah.
So these are the pictures of the kids and the dream mobiles that they made up, and some of the kids holding their I Have a Dream clouds. So you can see
I do see Stephanie is on. I don't know if anybody has seen, so I didn't know if Stephanie, she is on, just so you know.
Oh, good.
Stephanie, are you there?
I am here.
All right. I'm going to move on to Black History Month. So we continued our ongoing pledge to promote diversity, honoring the contributions of African Americans throughout our nation's history. There are several grade appropriate books which our librarians will talk about addressing diversity. Our 4th and 5th graders did a lot of research, and they're presently still working on it, research and report writing projects, researching an individual of choice that has made an impact on both this country and the world. So teachers were sharing a variety of different African Americans who have been made many contributions to our nation's history. And we allowed our students to pick a particular person that they would like to do research, such as athletes Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson or Serena Williams, political activists like Harriet Tubman or Rosa Parks, or President Barack Obama, or actor Sidney Poitier. So they got to choose whoever they wanted to research, and they're in the process of doing that. I'm gonna move forward so that the ladies.
I just wanted to interrupt for a second. I see that you corrected.
Yes, I
Sidney
did.
Poitier.
Yes, I
I
did.
was so ready to say he's not a singer. You're thinking of
I
Harry
know, I
Belafonte.
know, I know.
They made movies together, but I just want you to know I read it in quite extensive detail.
Uh-huh. No, it was just in my mind, and then when we went back over it, Trish and I noticed that I had put the wrong thing. So we made a correction, but thank you. So ladies, talk about the books that we chose for each grade level.
Okay, so our kindergarten book was The Colors of Us by Karen Katz, which is basically a book. It's from a 7-year-old girl's perspective. She wants to paint a picture of herself and she wants to use brown paint for her skin, but her mom kind of helps her to see that brown comes in a lot of different colors, and it's cool. The way it's connected in the book is like different kinds of food. And so it kind of makes it interesting for the kids. It showcases all these different types of skin colors and connects it to food. And then the second grade book is The Proudest Blue, A Story of Hijab and Family. This book is basically about two siblings, two little girls who they're there for the first day of school. And the older sibling, it's her first day wearing a hijab. And so there's like some hurtful speech, but basically they learn to smile throughout all of it. And one of the really important quotes from the book was, "Don't carry around the hurtful words that others say. Drop them, they're not yours to keep." So I thought that was pretty profound. And then the book for second grade is Sulwe. And this is just such a beautiful book about a little girl who wishes that her dark skin was lighter. And basically what she comes to learn is that like true beauty comes from within, and it doesn't matter what color your skin is. One of the quotes is that you can't rely on what you look like to make you feel beautiful. Real beauty comes from your mind and your heart. It begins with how you see yourself, not how others see you. So those are the second or the K-2 books, which really focus on kind of children learning to identify with the characters so that they can promote empathy. Okay, so the next set of books that we look at are more of a call to action for the older kids as they get older. The first book was for third graders, which is called Just Ask, Be Different, Be Brave, Be You by Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. This book is based on Sonia's own personal experiences growing up and feeling different because she had diabetes. And she talks about how those differences can be tough, but if you want to learn about people, you just need to ask. So she challenges children who from all different walks of life to ask one another about the things that make them special and what they have to give to society as a whole. It's a beautiful book, and really just the basic message is that when we come across someone who's different from us, but we're not sure why, all we have to do is just ask. For fourth graders, we started to focus on historical events. So in fourth grade, we chose the book A Ride to Remember, which is a civil rights story. It is written by Sharon Langley and Amy Nathan. And A Ride to Remember tells about how a community comes together, both Black and white, to make a change. And it's all about the author's experience, Sharon Langley, about how when she was born, amusement parks were segregated. And she helped fight to get her the amusement park in her area to be desegregated. And she was the first African-American child to ride the carousel in her park. And it was on the exact same day that Martin Luther King Jr. was doing his March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Sharon Langley's Ride to Remember truly demonstrates the possibilities of King's dream. And a great quote from it is, "Nobody first, nobody last, everyone's equal, everyone's having fun together." And then our fifth grade book is Separate is Never Equal, which is a great follow-up, historically speaking, about desegregations in school before, it was a decade before Brown versus the Board of Education, and it is about Hispanics going to school and how they fought to get their schools desegregated in California. And the great thing about those two books is that they also have a plethora of extra information and historical information through timelines and ways to enrich the children's learning afterwards. So those are our books. Are we going on to library resources?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about, ladies, you can talk a little bit about our library resources.
Okay, that's me too. So in addition to developing our collection, we are also developing engaging and informative bulletin boards like the one that we did last month for Black History Month. I'm also looking for ways so those boards can become more example. For example, at the end of this month, I'm going to poll the students about women in history that they would be interested in seeing up on the bulletin board for next month's Women's History Month. Additionally, we continue to challenge ourselves to be more mindful of our book choices and ensure that we are promoting diversity and representation in all of the books that we choose to bring into our school. And I want to point out that last May, Emily Judd and Kathy, Emily Judd, the principal over at Washington, they created this beautiful, inviting and diverse virtual library that established a platform of inspiration among elementary library team of inclusive texts. And we want to take that idea and like just run with it to create a very elaborate and more diverse and in-depth virtual library so our students can see themselves in all of the books that we have. Our ultimate goal is that every child feels celebrated by seeing themselves in the literature that they read. So we'll take our list right now, which is mostly picture books, and add to it chapter books also in our virtual library, books like One Crazy Summer, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, and Dreamers. I'll turn it to Steph about expanding on the virtual resources.
Yeah, just adding to what Trish said, basically, we have, like she mentioned, we have a really good start with the picture books that we've selected, but we want to add novels, different like poetry and graphic novels, because we know that children access text in different ways. And so we want to make sure that they really have access to books on diversity that are presented in a way that really appeals to them. So we're just trying to look to diversify how we present it as well. And that's it for our virtual library. So in our work continues, basically in our library classes for the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at the picture book that was selected for each grade level that we talked about. And then this will lead to discussions about diversity at basically age appropriate levels for each grade. And of course, this is the first year that we're really trying to do the annual initiative to have discussions about diversity and inclusion just worked into our regular routine. Basically, each year we'll read and discuss the books on that list for each grade level so that by the time all the students move up to Chippewa, they've actually had these meaningful discussions about each book and all the lessons each one teaches. And so that'll kind of help to really get them prepared for the world at large.
So ultimately, our hope is that these books will help open all of our eyes, not only to the diverse world we're blessed to live in, but into our own diverse communities right here in our classrooms. And in the spirit of embracing our diversity, we would also like to challenge the students to embrace the power of their words. And over the next several weeks in our library classes, help develop a quote for each class that reflects each grade's commitment to embracing their differences. We want to do this with several hopes in mind. First, to promote a reflective, age-appropriate discussion amongst our students and staff about differences, respect, and acceptance. And second, our hope in order to help students create an easy-to-remember commitment to acceptance that is reflected in their own words. And finally, we want to have the succinct quotes to share with each other at a reflective follow-up school meeting, and then formally submit each of the school's classroom quotes to the Embracing Our Differences nationwide quote competition and exhibit, which Stephanie will talk a little bit more about. Yeah, so it's Embracing Our Differences is a nationwide quote and art exhibit. Basically, like, artwork and quotations are submitted from hundreds of schools across the country and even different countries in the world every year. And then the winners are displayed in Sarasota, Florida. And so once we've kind of developed a quote that as a grade level that all the students really feel like they've contributed in, we're going to submit those quotes to that website. It's embracingourdifferences.org. And also any students who really feel like inspired by it and wish to submit their own quotes are welcome to do that as well. We just have to make sure we review them before they submit. But so it leaves it open for if kids want to do more.
So diversity inclusion in our classrooms, the cultivation of diversity, inclusion, and equity starts really in our classrooms. We are committed to fostering a sense of belonging for all our students and their families and instill respect for all people. We are committed to providing instructional opportunities through the lens of diversity, promoting tolerance, empathy, and respect. And we are committed to nurturing an awareness of other cultures, beliefs, and customs. So that's our presentation for tonight. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Yeah, Kathy, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
You can go, Greg.
No, I was just going to ask, I mean, I remember how my children approached this, and of course mine have, the youngest has been out of, they both went from kindergarten through 12th grade to Chippewa, Booth and Chippewa, and they have been out for at least the youngest 6 years. So it's a while ago that I had this perspective. But how do kids today in your classroom see differences, and how does that native view that they come in with change after they've experienced the program?
It's sort of like an ongoing thing that goes in our classroom. And of course, ladies, you can interject too. I mean, if we feel like if we expose children to lots of literature and experiences, then they'll see the world around them, not just their own little tiny environment. But also, classrooms are also diverse in themselves. And so teaching children to accept each other is really an important first step.
Thank you. John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. This is a very worthy and worthwhile endeavor. K through 5, and this will eventually filter its way into the high school, where we will have, through via Ag STEM, definitely a lot of cultural exchange and diversity. Is this going to be an ongoing, let's call it a program in years to come?
Well, we certainly would hope so. I mean, this is something that we want to continue throughout the school year and continue forever. I mean, we need to kind of expose our children to the real world, beyond Roxbury and Bridgewater. So really getting that experience out there and getting them to see the world beyond just their little environment.
Okay. Mary.
Yes, I don't know, Kathy, if any of you or Stephanie or Patricia were interested, but tomorrow night there's going to be a presentation called When Black Women Lead, and it's at 7 o'clock. And the link for that is ctdems.org/blackwomenlead. And that may be something that you may be interested to look at for the older students. Congresswoman Johanna Hayes will be there. Mayor Tony Harp, she's the mayor of Hartford, and Councilwoman Juliet Parker are the speakers. And it may be something that you can use. So I figured I'd just bring it up for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great.
Any other questions? Well, Kathy, Trish, Stephanie, absolutely fantastic presentation. Really appreciate it.
so much.
It's something that everyone should see. And I just hope that perhaps at some point in time, one of these programs, we can see a little bit of what goes on in the classroom, if that's at all possible, during these, because I think this is a critical and important thing, and I'm glad that we're doing it so big. So thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move down to a presentation from Dr. DeBrito on AP.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sharing my screen. Some more exciting news to share. I titled this presentation Growing Opportunities, and I'm going to scale down here at the bottom. Just want to take you through a walk really every year since 2014 and highlighting the college level courses that we continue to offer kids. And there have been many expanded courses. And so sometimes we don't really realize that you just see a whole list of courses, but there has been so much to celebrate. So taking us back to 2014, where we had two-dimensional art design, biology, calculus, English lit and comp, and modern European history, which those two were also UConn early college credit courses, and physics and psychology. So all AP courses, and two that UConn allowed us to also offer students. Moving on to 2015, we had teachers in the world language department who really wanted to offer AP classes. And so we then also started French language and culture and Spanish language and culture. Moving up to 2016, we expanded art to drawing. 2017, we were already offering calculus, but for the first time, students were also able to opt for the UConn early college experience, and chemistry was offered as a new AP course. Moving on to 2018, English language and comp was a brand new AP course, and statistics was also a brand new offering for students. In 2019, English language and comp became a UConn approved course, so students could also opt for UConn credit. We also added Foundations of Western Thought, which is exclusively a UConn early college experience credit. And by the way, it's 4 credits. And macroeconomics, also from UConn, brand new in 2019, and US government and politics, an AP course. In 2020, we were able to offer environmental science through UConn, and 2021, the next school year, we now, I put it all together, but we now, in addition to the AP physics, what is new for physics is it is also a UConn early college experience course, and horse science and companion animals. Those two are through the UConn program. And so we are now at 18 courses that are all college level course offerings for our students. So it's been a remarkable growth, and we just continue to grow and wanted to highlight all that the teachers do to continue to offer opportunities, high level rigorous opportunities for our students.
Teresa, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
These are all classes that are offered. It's a class with a teacher in the classroom and students in the classroom.
Absolutely.
And these are not virtual.
None of these are through virtual high school. No, these are classes that our teachers offer.
So we're offering 18. There are other AP courses, and every student theoretically has the ability to try to take those also as well if they want to do it as an online course.
apps. That is still a viable option for students. Yes.
But to have 18 in person is amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, if you remember the conversation that Peter Prada had with us at our last board meeting, his mention was the fear that our small school would not be able to have some of these college course offerings. And I think, as you can see, as Teresa's laid out, this has been systematically adding to the opportunities for our students. And it was one of the conversations when we had presented to the Bethel Board of Education. One of the questions was about the college offerings at Chippewa, and they were surprised by how much we are providing for our students. And so, again, a credit to, Teresa has been building this up through the years, and as you can see, incrementally offering and expanding for our students.
Isn't it also true that this is also a credit to our teachers? The fact that we have people that are able to teach these courses and are interested in teaching these courses and are really working hard to teach these courses. I think that should also be mentioned.
Absolutely. And for the UConn courses in particular, I mean, they have to be approved by UConn. UConn looks at their transcripts. There is a process. They put in an application. I write a letter of recommendation. And so there is a definite process for them to be approved to teach the UConn courses.
Well, that's another testament to the fact that we have teachers teaching college at Chippewa.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I also did not mention the administration at Chippewa, who has absolutely found some of these talents, fostered the appetite for our students to feel like they can take these courses. So when you see it all come together, what you really see is our students having the opportunity, pushing themselves, and the celebration of academic achievement.
Very good. Teresa, outstanding. Thank you so much. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the next thing, which is our reports and recognition. I'll start out with my report, and there's two things I wanted to mention tonight. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to read what I read initially in the New York Times about a board of education in Oakley, California. There's a board for elementary and middle school where they were having a nice discussion before their board meeting, not realizing that they were going out live to the public. And in that discussion, the Times says that they spent 2 minutes mocking parents, suggested they wanted teachers back in school so they could have their babysitters back and go back to smoking marijuana. Apparently people were reacting to a lot of criticism that they were facing because schools were not in person, they were remote. But absolutely, just two things that struck me about this. Number one, it's obviously not good behavior. It's horrible behavior and it shouldn't be tolerated. Now the entire board has resigned. But I feel sorry in a way for them because they don't have and have not perhaps been able to build a relationship with parents, the parents of their students, that we've tried very hard here in Region 12 to do. We've tried to be more transparent every year. We've tried to listen. We've tried to give people an opportunity to speak. We allow members of the public, which often include parents, to come and address us at our meetings. And I think that they are, for us, a force multiplier. They are here they have the same concern we have, which is their children. They are our concern, they are their concern, and I think we should never, ever, ever forget that. We may have different perspectives on certain aspects of that situation because teaching and administering the program is different than being a parent, and both have unique challenges, but both are working together. And were it not for our parents and their devoted work, our children would be at a disadvantage, and yet they come here advantaged by parents that care about them and are involved in very carefully in their education. And in addition, their cooperation over the whole entire COVID situation has made it manageable for us and has allowed us to keep our schools open. So all I can say is that I'm proud of my board. I'm proud of the parents and their students in our community, because I think they've been a great contributor to our success. The next thing I wanted to talk about briefly is, I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to watch that production of the induction of the members of the National Honor Society. I really very much enjoyed that. I thought it was we have a lot of great, amazing students here in Region 12. I thought this was absolutely one of the finest moments I've had an opportunity to see. I mean, we saw scholars, athletes, leaders. These are the people who walk down the streets of our town. These are the kids who are going to be the next generation of leaders. And in this country, our kids are going to be leaders. And I think the National Honor Society kids, they had a thing about each of them, and it was just an impressive group of people. And I wanted tonight to make sure that I recognized each one of those students, because I think a lot of times we don't do this, and I think it's time we did recognize our students and more often. I'm going to just list the students who were just inducted: Michael Parachi, Eilish Crossley, Caroline Kibbe, Wyatt King, Ryan Sarbello, Harlequin Sullivan, Eilish Foy, Jessica Kisling, Janelle Franklin, Lydia Kennedy, Luke Schneider, Grace Crispino, Sophie Glickman, Marissa Parachi, Taylor Giroux, Evan Werner, and Tegan DeCuna. I'd like everyone to give a round of applause for these kids. I could not be more proud, and I think their parents and our community should be very proud of these kids. And that's all I have to say tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to Megan.
All right. Well, I think a fantastic intro, and I think it is very challenging to celebrate during these times. And a hearty thank you to the entire Chippewa team and Ben Allen for the production that was done for the National Honor Society to make certain that the students felt that they were identified, that they were personalized. And I know that takes a lot of extra effort, and thank you for all of
Megan,
that.
can I interrupt one time? I forgot to say one thing. It was on my list here, and I suddenly, for some reason, I missed it, trying to look at the camera. I also wanted to thank our teachers and our staff for their really hard work, because these kids, they've contributed mightily to these kids' achievement, and I think that should be recognized. These are difficult days. These are dark and difficult days, and sometimes the only light we see is that's what's shined by our educators. So don't ever forget that. I think that's a tremendous thing, and I'm so sorry I missed that from the first time through.
All right, well, I'm going to continue with the really positive things that are happening at our schools. So I want to congratulate Owen Hibbard. For those who don't know, Owen broke the Chippewa boys basketball scoring record last week. But the part that I want us to think about is what Owen could have done if he had a regular season during his junior and senior years. Owen broke this record in abbreviated seasons. So I am very proud of his athletic and high school achievements. So congratulations to Owen.
Megan, can I just, we had a brief conversation about this, and the question always is, when someone has something unusual about their season, if there should be an asterisk. And this is unusual because I think everyone after this is going to have an asterisk, because the question is, if he could break the record in fewer games, that's going to be a hard record to beat in the future. Because then the question is, do you also have to score as many points per game on average over a career? An absolutely amazing achievement by this young man. So,
absolutely. I also want to point out, I had the privilege of speaking to two of our seniors, Haley Lasky and Brooke Donahue, who took the time to advocate for spectators, specifically their parents, and they wanted them to attend the game. So Mr. Parachi and I are working together to create safe opportunity for our senior parents to have some in-person viewing. But the part that I love about this and why it mattered that it was Haley and Brooke, because they were not asking on behalf of their parents. They were asking because they wanted their parents part of their school experience. And I think on those times, we look a little harder, we figure ways to do this safely, and working with Mr. Parachi to find those opportunities. This is not a wholesale opportunity, but we are certainly trying to find ways. We know this is the last year for some of our seniors to play a sport that they love. And so we're looking for ways that we can do this. And part of this also happened because the governor had made his statement that opening up for spectators, and we want to make certain that it's not just about saying something once, it's also evaluating as conditions change. We know that Roxbury was a hot spot for a while. We're starting to see our numbers come down, and as we see safety, we are going to find opportunities where they are afforded to us. So I just wanted to update the board on that. Additionally, I wanted to notify the board that I will be speaking at the Washington Housing Committee on Tuesday, March 2nd, regarding our enrollment and changes to the school system. I know that they are looking for input from the community about the zoning and housing and opportunities within the town. So I'm going to put the school voice behind that. And also I want to give everybody a reminder that you are not going to want to miss the next board meeting because Nicole and I will be presenting the superintendent's budget for the 2021-2022 school year. We had the opportunity to showcase some of the process and information at the Finance and Operation Committee meeting. What they saw was just a draft form, and it helped establish what is the process of how we're establishing this budget. But I look forward to sharing the information at our next board meeting and really celebrating how we're starting to reap a lot of the benefits of the Agri-Science Program. So I think you're starting to see a lot of the hard work and things that have those seeds that you have sown are starting to come up with some really nice flowers. So I'm actually excited to present a budget. And that concludes my board update.
Thank you. We'll move on to Treasurer's Report. John, do you have anything for us?
A few things. First of all, I'd like to say that most of you know I try to view things with a dollar sign in front of them. And when you consider 18 college courses, and I know that most of the students probably won't be able to take all 18, but even if they take a fraction of that, that is going to be a financial reward for the families of these students who go on to college. It's that's a wonderful thing, and it's a great public relations presentation for people who are considering moving to our school district. As Megan stated, and I don't want to give away too much of the tentative budget, but there is great news. Most of the departments had a reduction in overall spending from last year. Only 3 categories went up, basically because of COVID related and the actual bonding for the debt service that we all voted to approve the projects. Yeah, I won't give away too much more. I know that everyone wants to see it, but it's very encouraging. We would probably have a negative budget if it weren't for the construction projects. Revenue, as Megan stated, revenue will also increase. It's well over 900,000 at present, and as we continue to get out of district tuition monies and state grant monies, the revenues will offset. Of course, the tuition monies always go back to the towns, but in a way, it does offset the expense to the taxpayers. And that's about it.
Thank you, John. We'll move on to committee reports now. Cade, Mary?
Yes, there's not too much. There's a public hearing tomorrow from Veterans Affairs for House Bill 6483, which is to allow the military orders to be proof of residency. And then there's a webinar series called Let Your Voice Be Heard on the March 17th. It's Virtual Day on the Hill. On April 6th, it's the Education Committee bills. On April 26th, it's the Appropriation Committee budget. On June 14th, it's the legislative wrap-up. There's the CABE Student Leadership Awards. The deadline for us for that is March 31st. And then on February 16th, there was a public hearing for public health, the Public Health Committee, and that was for two bills, House Bill 6423 and Senate Bill 568, which was the removal of all but medical exemptions for vaccines. And as you all know, I've been very active in that. I sat and listened to that for 18 hours. And because of my trusty little computer here, I was able to move it all over the house. And I was not able to testify in person because apparently they had too many people and I didn't make the cut. So, but I did testify in written form in support of this bill. And it was something that CABE also was on board for last year. So I'm hoping that this bill does pass. It looks good. There's many people that come and testify for it not to happen, but it's a lot of it's on their own personal feelings and their own personal things that they've heard. But I feel like, I think that the committee in the end will listen to the scientists. We are blessed to have Yale University here and a world-class hospital and research center there. And I think in the end, they will listen to their doctors who are the people that are really pushing for this also in Connecticut. So fingers crossed. I'll let you know if I find out more about that.
Thank you, Mary. Please keep us updated. I don't know if anyone is going to make a report on behalf of Curriculum and Educational Programming Committee. Mike's not here tonight, and I know their meeting today was canceled. So unless anyone cares to comment on anything on that, I'm going to move on to Finance and Operations. Alex?
Okay. John covered a little bit of what I wanted to talk about. We met on February 8th, the Finance and Operations Committee. And the entire meeting was dealt with the preliminary numbers of expenses for the year 21-22 for Region 12. A couple of the points that were made that are cut in stone is the percentages that each town will be required to come up with based on the the October 1st numbers. Bridgewater will be 20.32%. Roxbury will be 33.69%. And Washington will be 45.99%. A large portion of the budget is covered by things such as the COVID and salaries, which are set by contract, and our debt service. We went through each item line by line, and I won't list all the categories, but you can just imagine everything from Agri-Science to copiers to telephones to the superintendent's budget. Two interesting things is our benefit costs for next year should be about flat, which is quite unheard of for our expenses for benefits because of some reductions in costs. Also, our pension, because of the way the market has been behaving, is about 90% funded, which is very good. Let me think what else I've got here. I guess the one thing that I do want to stress is this year's budget will not be flat. We're going to probably have to have an increase. How much we will know when the superintendent presents her budget and we discuss it, but it will not be a flat year. And I think that's it. And I would be welcome any questions anybody might have. If not,
Okay.
I will move on. We'll move on.
Okay, Jim, labor negotiations?
Yes. although I've been told that we're negotiating with the nurses, I haven't actually gotten involved yet. The last I heard is that our council was engaged in coming up with ground rules. It's not always easy, I know from past experience, to meet with the nurses, the head of the lady who assists the nurses, so there may be some scheduling problems, but it's on the table, but it hasn't actually commenced. We're also negotiating with Sherman. We have a meeting coming up very shortly, so I've been dealing with that with Megan. That's what we're dealing with, Sherman and the nurses.
Thank you very much, Jim. Labor negotiations is it's only about 72% of our budget, so it's a big area. Okay, strategic long-range planning, Julie.
Yeah, we haven't had a meeting since we last met, but as you can see, our logo is out there. We're happy about that, and I've gotten some great feedback. I've seen it a lot on social media, etc. We do have the brochure updated with the new logo and the other updates, and it's currently getting priced out at different printers. With our long-range planning goals, we're still looking at some different quotes to help us get those goals sort of put in a good format for everyone. So that's where we stand today.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, kudos on that logo. It's just terrific.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to new business and updates. The first item is a presentation by Mike Boucher on a partnership update with Naugatuck Valley Community College.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I just plan to give a brief update on a very important partnership that was developed in December of 2019. So in December, actually in the very beginning of the month, 2019, I approached Superintendent Bennett with an opportunity with a former colleague that I worked very close with from Naugatuck Valley Community College called the High School Partnership Program. What this program is it's an agreement between the school, the community college, that every semester, so spring and fall semester, there is the opportunity to provide scholarships for our students to take one course at Naugatuck Valley Community College. Might I have you, our first semester was a little interrupted in March of 2020. However, the wheels are still going, and I'm happy to say we have our second kid involved in the program right now through his senior project to enhance his photography skills. In addition to taking his course of studies at Chippewa, he is taking a class on the Danbury campus through Naugatuck Valley Community College. So this agreement allows for up to 4 kids in either their junior or senior year at Chippewa to take a course on the Waterbury or Danbury campus free of charge. The only snag is that they would have to provide their own transportation, and they would have to buy any textbooks necessary for that class. But it's the equivalent to they broke it down to $614. So really it's an individualized $614 scholarship available to our kids every semester at Naugatuck Valley Community College. So currently we have, like I said, we have 1 student studying a photography course there. And we are hopeful with things getting better that this coming fall, we're going to use all 4 seats. So we started the recruitment recently, putting a message out to our current sophomores and juniors just to say this opportunity is available. If you are interested in this, please see your school counselor. Because we also realize we don't want to set them up for failure. Having 7 classes already at Chippewa Valley School and then taking another class at Naugatuck, that may be a lot for some kids. So we want to make sure we extend it to any kid that's interested, but also make them understand the challenges and the responsibility that comes along with that. But long story short, it's a great opportunity that we signed an agreement in December 2019. And we are hopeful that it will continue to grow and that our kids will continue to gain college credit. So it's really just another tip of the cap, more opportunities for our kids in addition to the courses that are already offered at Chippewa.
Mike, thank you very much. Please convey to Naugatuck Valley Community College our appreciation for this opportunity. We are very grateful.
Thank you.
And thank you for your hard work. All right, the next item is a presentation by Ms. Gallo and Mr. Croft on SVS courses for 2021-22.
When you begin looking at a schedule, especially at a high school, and at Chapag, it's a high school and a middle school, what you do first is you have a vision for student learning. You try to create opportunities for teachers to spend time with each other. You try to take opportunities for students to have advisory experiences. You look at where the courses can be juxtaposed for cross-curricular learning, where that's appropriate. And you also look at logistically, if I'm a student and I want to take a wide variety of courses, are those courses going to fit within the limitations of my schedule? That's the charge that I give each year. And for the last 2 years to Mike Boucher and to Mike Croft. And Mike Croft is going to present on what it looks like at this point at Chapag.
Thank you, Kim. I am going to share my screen, if that's okay. And I'm going to talk for, I think, not too long about the courses that we have that will be new for next school year. And the star of this presentation really is our Agri-Science program. There's also a little bit of overlap with Mrs. Dr. DeBrito's presentation earlier. You can see that in this document that is shared through your board packet, you can access our full course offerings by clicking on the link in the first bullet. I'm going to focus on what's new, but we continue to have all of the comprehensive course offerings that you at this point know pretty well, many of which Teresa talked about earlier. We are planning to continue next year a set of courses that was new this year, and I want to talk about it for a minute. And that set of courses is a series of 8th grade electives. And the idea here really is that we saw an opening and an opportunity to give students a chance to find and pursue some topic that may be an interest or a passion of theirs in the future. And really we want to promote the idea of self-discovery as much as possible, meaning that we know it's important that students learn about themselves and that they at 11, 12, 13, 14, or even 18 years old don't know everything there is to know about themselves, not that we as adults do. And so these electives are an opportunity for them to do that. And we're pleased with a couple of electives that we will be able to carry forward, we think, next year, and that is a creative writing and a digital design lab class. We're also looking for a third class to round out that series of electives. Each 8th grade student will choose one of those electives and they will take that course every other day for the entire year. The digital design lab course is a digital media course where students will produce visual and moving picture digital art. And for the most part right now, that's movies. Students are working, last time I was in class a couple of weeks ago, students were working hard at animated movies and live action films that they were preparing for a film competition. So those are some courses that were new this year that will continue next year, and some courses that we will also be introducing next year, all of which Teresa talked about earlier, and these are our companion animal management, physics, and course science ECE courses. The physics, of course, has been an AP class for a long time and will be an AP and ECE course for the first time next year. The next set of courses that I'll talk about comes from the fact that we've got a lot of 9th graders and a lot of 10th graders in our Agri-Science program, but we do not yet have a lot of 11th graders, but we will next year. And so this is the series of course offerings that they will have. And it's pretty exciting because they are getting out of their introductory courses. They are really getting out of the 100s level courses, so to speak, and into the 200s level courses. And this is the reason why many of them are here. They are passionate and knowledgeable about these topics, and you can see from the courses in each of these pathways that they will become even more knowledgeable and even more invested in that pathway by working with their teachers, by working in our facility. The classes, the pathways rather, that have only one class listed, like plant science and animal science, those are full year courses. Power structures and technical systems and food science have 2 half-year courses listed. And that's why there's 2 for those pathways and only 1 for the plant science and animal science. But it's probably not hard for you to close your eyes and imagine our students getting older, getting more expert, and benefiting from the expertise and experience of our teachers alongside the facilities that we now have available. It's really going to be terrific, I think, to watch them learn and produce authentically in these courses. I'm happy to take any questions, and that's the story.
Could I, Mike, could I ask you just, when can we expect to see a nice presentation on television here by our ag science students and some of the things they're doing and how they're enjoying their program and what they have, what they wish they had, hear from our teachers as well? I'd love to see something like that.
Okay, let's do it.
Provide that for
Sounds
you.
great.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing it in the future. I mean, we've got this great television studio. We have a lot of production capabilities. We have interesting, fascinating students and excellent teachers. And so I want to hear from them.
Great.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to a discussion of Agri-Science application numbers and processes. Ms. Gallo and Mr. Boucher.
So when you look at the Agri-Science application process, obviously this year, it looks very, very different from anything we've seen. And that I would be remiss if I didn't mention before we get started that Sue Heverly has really taken a lead role in kind of corralling all of us together. There's lots of different meetings that occur. There's lots of different outreach that occurs, and Sue controls all of that and logistically rounds all of us up, which can be a little bit like herding cats, I'm sure. And she's done a wonderful job with that. So the initial problem that we faced was, how do you recruit kids to an authentic program and a hands-on program in a Zoom screen? And so Mike Boucher and Sue and our ag kids took a very creative approach to how they recruited this year. And Mike is here to share that process with you tonight.
Thanks, Kim. And you know, her recognition of Sue is very well deserved. It's been an absolute pleasure working with her, and I can't wait to continue. This experience, before I share my screen, you know, involving the Chippewa Agri-Science recruitment has been a lot of fun and, you know, really rewarding. And you'll see why on the first few slides. Give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen. I don't want to share it again. Hold on. There it is. All right. So you probably remember, I apologize for the floodlights in the background. You probably remember this visual, but I wanted to break down our sending districts coming into this year and our current enrollment. So if you take a look at the chart on the left-hand side, you will notice the number of students that are attending Chippewa as part of our Agri-Science program from each sending district. I do have to say, right, you know, today, before this had already been published, we noticed that the Region 12 number actually should be at 32. We did unfortunately lose a couple students to homeschooling. So the total number is actually 79 currently enrolled, but these are the numbers by town. And getting into the next slide, the recruitment was a huge success, and we saw a pretty big boom in applications this year. So I made a chart to outline the amount of applications we received from each sending district. And you'll notice the top one being Bethel, our new one. We had 3 applications from them. I did include a column all the way to the right to highlight that we did have a very, very small handful of students that applied as 9th graders, and we had 1 student within district that applied as a 10th grader. But if you take a look at those numbers, we had 20 applications from New Milford, and there were some exceptional applications. We had 19 from our district. We had, or I should say, 19. We had 16 from Danbury, and New Fairfield might not seem like a lot, but currently we have 1 student enrolled, and we had 5 outstanding applications this year. So that was a huge win for us, and we ended up with a total of 79 applications this year, which is just a testament to the work that's been done by the teachers, by the students, really advocating for this program. I mean, our property is absolutely gorgeous. You know, I get to school very early in the morning, and I'm blown away every time I get on campus. It's really a special program, and the kids in the first 2 classes are really fantastic pioneers for what's been going on. So in the upcoming slides, I'm going to talk a little bit about, our approach, and I'm also going to talk about, the actual application review that has been done and completed, and I will go into that. So I wanted to outline some of the things, and I know this might be repetitive because I have presented on this before, but I wanted to outline some of the things that we've done to really promote an exceptional program under the circumstances we currently are living in. Obviously we're not having visitors to our school, but also there's the presentation factor. The previous years recruiting for Agri-Science, we'd have a representative from Chippewa visit those schools and get that FaceTime with kids. We did get the FaceTime, but we did it in this same fashion. We did it virtually. So the promotional video that Ben Allen made was really one of the first steps that we took, and it was amazing. So everyone has a copy of this. When you get a minute and a half, he's so talented, and it really captures some of the really neat things the kids are doing. When I say flexible scheduling, I mean flexible scheduling. We were at a point where we wanted to talk to anyone who wanted to talk to us from sending districts about our program and the opportunities that kids can get from being part of it. That went from the virtual presentations with school counselors from sending districts and their students to even individual virtual Q&A sessions with interested students that may have missed that opportunity. The presentation video is 10.5 minutes in length, and it's outlined there. Special shout out to Tanya Adorno. She's one of our new teachers at Chippewa Valley School. She helped me put this together. It's no Ben Allen production, but it's pretty. It captures a lot of what is being done in each unique pathway in our program. We had a very successful virtual open house. We were trying to have this in person, but with some COVID scares, that special P word, we pivoted to a virtual open house, and that was a large success. There were in-house lessons with all 8th graders that are at Chippewa. Due to the fact that they weren't taking an intro to ag class this year, we wanted to make sure that they had a real idea of what this program can do for them. 8th grade high school options presentation, was not all inclusive with Agri-Science, but there was a special component where there was Agri-Science discussed. Once we locked down Bethel, I just want to highlight this because as soon as it was announced to the Board of Education, Principal Gallo and I got word from Superintendent Bennett that we had the green light to go. I was in contact with Bethel Middle School school counselor that next day. We reached out, we had applications from 3 of them by the next week, and we were able to hold a special in-person tour for those 3 families. And that happened on a Saturday. So that they got to get a feel for what our campus and what our program had to offer. And just I can't say enough about the open lines of communication. Sue Haverly did an exceptional job communicating with the sending schools. making sure they had the right information, and, you know, reaching out to families. I know Sue has some big fan, she has a big fan club from applicants' families. I know she was on the phone probably for 20 to 30 minutes with one family, just excited about our program and the prospects. I want to take everyone through what our application review process looks like. The first thing, and this is slightly different this year, we've always done interviews for all of our applicants in the past. We did them a little earlier this year. We really wanted to put a face to that application, give some of these 8th graders an interview experience, and get to know them, you know, and like I said, put a face to the application. These interviews were done by myself, Mr. Lawler, Mr. Croft helped out, Sam Steinis, Joanne Kelly, Dr. Hermans, all hands on deck. We were able to interview all prospective ag students. Application materials. We reviewed all application materials. There were there's a 6-member committee, and we reviewed all application materials. To give you an idea what that looks like, you have the state adopted Agri-Science application. What we ask for in addition to that application is a report for attendance for the last 2 years, a 2-year grade report, discipline record, state testing, personal recommendation, council recommendation, teacher recommendation, an extracurricular activity list, and a personal essay. So every single, the 6 members of the committee, everyone reviewed all the applications individually, and they scored them. We have a special rubric where there's points assigned for each category. And then we took the top scores, but we had to separate them by district, because as you know, each district's going to vary as far as how many kids they will be sending. So what we were trying to do is rank kids by district based on all the different rubrics that you just saw. We held 2 review sessions where we went through the numbers that we came up with based on each applicant. We discussed any red flags we might have seen. We were held, at that time, we were able to rank the students within each district and give the superintendent that list. And here we are now. So what's next? Next step is the letters, and they're ready to go. And again, Sue Haverly working feverishly, getting those letters together. You know, unfortunately, there are, you know, applicants that will not be immediately accepted to our program. We'll be receiving waitlist letters. There will be a letter sent to their home, personalized and signed by Ms. Gallo. And there will also be a letter sent to the sending school counselor, so that they could have that experience. Since they went through the process with the kids, this was Principal Gallo's idea. It's a really nice touch to let them in on, you know, the celebration or sometimes a disappointment. But that, you know, as a school counselor, you know, we're experienced in having these conversations. So we need to hear back from families by March 19th in order to accept the invitation into our program. And as far as the wait list, we ask them that, you know, if they were not accepted, to show us that they're still interested. We ask them to give us feedback one way or another, because we want to, you know, reward the students that may have come up a little short in the application process, but there's definite interest still. So that's how we're highlighting that. We will have to do a course selection similar to what we're doing right now with our students. What we have been doing for the last couple of months. They'll be meeting with a school counselor from Chippewa. We're going to have that done prior to April vacation. And I put on here virtual open house to be determined, probably shortly after we receive all of our, you know, we receive the feedback from the accepted students. And that is my presentation. I want to open up to any questions.
Well, when I see these numbers of applicants that you've got, it would seem to tell me that our program is in high demand, and that we must be offering a rigorous and good program with excellent facilities and excellent staff. So all I can say is keep it up and let's get even better.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
We may have to expand the Agri-Science program, buildings.
Please. I want to hear that. Lisa, you had something.
I did. That's a fantastic. Those numbers are really great. Out of the 79, how many would we be accepting? Ish.
Megan, do you want to take this one?
That's a bit of an art.
You know, it's an interesting moving target. We're obviously working with the other districts. We know that some of them only permit a certain amount of numbers, so we're trying to work with them, making certain that we look at what is our availability. But I
Right.
think that right now I can safely say that the cohort is with the Chippewa students, we're north of 50.
Okay, it's really impressive considering this is the third year. This will be the third class, and you've really grown the program to have that many applicants, and it's just really impressive. And this is even during COVID times that we're getting kids to a new district. So I just want to say that you all have done an amazing job and to fill the seats to an amazing program. So that's wonderful.
Thank you, Lisa. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
All right. That's great. We shall now move on to the last presentation under new business, Ms. Gallo's presentation on scheduling changes at Chippewa.
Scheduling changes is an operative and moving term at Chippewa, especially when you take the last couple of years into account. You know, we went to a more traditional schedule quite a few years back now. Excuse me. And we've grown with that schedule. We've done a lot of good things with that. We were coming upon a time when when we knew that we had to start to look at more extended learning periods for our students. But that has to be done with a very careful study, and it needs to involve a lot of voices and so forth. And we had just started that process and having those good, strong and intellectual conversations, and then COVID hit. And our schedule became what's best for kids when we have to pivot from one environment to another. So this year we did go to somewhat of a block schedule, which yes, it gave us longer learning periods, but it really was about having kids not trying to do quite so many things when you're on that screen all day. We found that that was just very, very taxing on our students, and it was not the right way to go. And when you have to pivot back and forth, you do that. So what happened to that nice conversation that we had started? Well, we certainly didn't forget it, but we knew that you don't try to exact change at a time when you're trying to survive all of these pivoting situations. We are starting to see some success with COVID numbers, and we're cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to start that conversation in a somewhat normal environment next year. And I look forward to seeing what the result is. Obviously, I won't be there, but I feel very good about retiring from our system, knowing that we're getting ready to start that important conversation. It is due, but we did have to put a little bit of a pause on it so that we could create an environment that was ever shifting and pretty uncertain. And I think we've done a great job with all of those things. So when you talk about schedule changes, that's all I'm talking about is changes. Everything changed, and then it changed back, and then it might do that again. But I think that we've done a good job with that, and we're ready to have the important conversation of where do we need extended periods of learning? What does a good schedule look like when you create those opportunities? And who is involved in that conversation? And it'll be time to start that very soon. A very exciting opportunity for us.
Kim, thank you very much. And there are other questions?
So I'm just going to put an exclamation point on what Kim has shared. So next year, this year, we know we had to shift to some extended periods. So doing the double period was about safety, and it was a response and reaction to COVID. And knowing that next year, planning this out, we're looking back at the 7-period structure. Because if we do indeed make a decision to go to block scheduling in some way, shape, or form, how we want to design our schedule, we want to know that it's not a reaction or response.
Right.
We want to make certain that it is done thoughtfully. We recognize that this year, because we had to go to an extended period, our teachers didn't have the ability to collaborate within the school day. And so we've certainly lost some opportunities. And we need to make certain that whatever direction that we go to, it's not because of happenstance, but it's because of planning and intentional design.
Okay. Well, another challenge, and you folks have, as always, have met it with good humor. At this point in time, we have one action item on the agenda tonight. This is to consider and, if appropriate, adjust the 2020-2021 school calendar to reflect the state required 177 days, thus forgiving 3 snow days. I'm going to leave that to Ms. Bennett to explain.
So very quickly, we had in our calendar, when we started the school year, we started with 183 days. And beginning of the year, we made the decision to have 3 additional days go to professional development for our staff, knowing we really needed to prepare for COVID. So that gave us 180 days that we were playing with. The state of Connecticut only required 177 this year. We decided to bank it, not to do anything drastic, but I think that we knew Mother Nature would take care of some of this need. Quite frankly, I think we all really want this school year to end. And thus far, we have used 3 true, traditional, loving snow days where kids built snowman, they helped shovel, they did snowball fights. We did not require virtual learning on December 17th, on February 2nd, and also on February 19th. I'm asking for the board to consider that we do not make those days up and add on to the end of this year, and that we look to continue to end the school year utilizing the remote snow days as necessary, but to forgive us the 3 snow days that we took that did not have virtual learning.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjust the 2021 school calendar to reflect 177 days?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about this. So what we're saying we're going to do is what the state told us we could do previously, and that we sort of said, no, let's keep those 3 days in our pocket, and now we're taking them out of our pocket and we're going to use them.
That's exactly what I'd like to do. You've
Okay.
nailed it.
Thank you.
From time immemorial, we have been, I hear someone with something in the background that sounds like a broadcast of some sort. Please take care to mute. From time immemorial, we have been proud of the fact that in Region 12, we have a 184 day school year, which is was always 4 more than the state required. We had to go down to 183 to accommodate a scheduling issue. And now we're going to 177. But I think considering what this year has been and the fact that we have managed, except for that brief interregnum, we have managed, we opened ourselves to in-person learning 176 days ago, and we have stayed in person all but for that brief period where we had to deal with a problem. And I think the fact that we have so few students who have been COVID positive and so few staff members is nothing short of a testament to the careful manner in which these proceedings have been conducted. So I think we should do this. I'm normally not in favor of reducing our school year, but this is now the state minimum in an exceptional year, absolutely beyond what anyone could have ever expected.
Greg, I will say the mental health days is the way that I think our staff is going to say that.
Well, absolutely. So further discussion. John.
Yes, I know in the fall, we voted to reduce, I believe it was 6 days and for staff workshops. How did that factor into the total count?
The early dismissal days that was created by the board, we did have 10 of those, and
10.
those are not implicated. The state, we still have already reached the hour minimum that the state would require. So we've done the mathematics behind it, and we are meeting all of the state requirements. And I have to agree with what Greg is saying. We've taken pride in, how we've given more time to learning for our students. But I think given the exceptionality of this year is why I'm putting forth this request. But yes, I can tell you that those days that the board has provided have been utilized wisely. And I can tell you, between looking at where the students are, planning with data, allowing for some collaborative planning time with our teachers, albeit through Zoom, has been incredibly helpful this year.
Okay, so if we continue with the 177, what is the last day of school this year?
Thus far,
Projected?
June 11th.
And with the,
If you do not forgive it, then it moves to June 16th being the last day.
thank you.
June 12th being the expected day of celebration and fireworks and everything else, right?
I'm a little confused again. What happens if we get a week of snow? We just go remote learning?
That would be correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Look, I think the quality of education we've provided this year has been, there's an awful lot of schools, districts in the country that wish they could have had the number of in-person days we've had. At least one board of education out west, or I should say one former board of education. But this is what we have. So are there any further discussion? All right, why don't we go to a vote? All those in favor, please raise your hand so we can see. And Julie, if you could say yes or no.
Yes, I don't know why my camera's not working. I'm sorry.
Okay, all those opposed?
Hey.
And abstaining. Okay, I think the motion is adopted. Before we go into executive session, I would like to say that we have been blessed. Every meeting gets better and better, and we've been blessed with a very, very well-conducted Zoom meeting, seamlessly done. The screen shares go off as expected, and we generally have, I think, a very well-organized presentation. In short, we have a Ben Allen production, and I want to thank Ben for his really hard work and for his making this really work for us, and to bring this to everyone in our communities who wants to watch these. I think that's important. Ben, we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. Okay, do I have a motion to go into an executive session to discuss the superintendent's mid-year evaluation?
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And all those opposed? And all those abstaining. It is unanimous, more than the 2/3 vote required. We will go into executive session.
Greg?
Thank you all very much. Yes,
Greg? Who's second?
that was Jen.
Ben? Okay. And who are you writing in with you?
We're inviting the superintendent in with us.
Thank you.